Jayson, Sarah, Saskia, welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here today because we want to talk about the ways that you, as game masters, build the experience for your players. The way you take on the responsibility to make sure that your players are having a great time and imbuing your games with life and energy. This is something that each of you do both in your physical games as well as the digital games. And we were introduced to all of you through your digital performances. And that's what really resonated with us as we spent the entire past year and a half playing all of these games. Every once in a while, someone's performance just jumped out at us and said, okay, I love this. So I want to thank you all for the experiences you've given. And I'm excited to talk to you all about what we're going to, how we're going to help other people do what it is you do.
Yeah, super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks as well from me, and I think from Saskia as well, because we're just a team.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here, and I'm so happy that you have chosen us for this.
For those who haven't had a chance to play, if you were to go and play at 66 Minuten, their game has two game masters effectively working in tandem to create the experience, each playing a different character and bringing a different part of the experience to life. And they are performing also alongside many pre-recorded video. And it reached a point for me as a player where it was hard to tell where the live performances ended and the recorded performances began. And the only reason that I knew some of them had to be recorded was because of cost, because I knew what I paid for the ticket. That was the only way that I knew. So we'll be exploring that dynamic. And then in Jayson's case, Fuzzy Logic, he hosts so many games and is the only game master and has somehow managed to remain sane and smiling for the past year and a half. He imbues so much life into all of these games and just makes it so much fun. It's infectious. So that's the perspective that we're going to be playing with here today. I'd like to start off with how you all see the differences between hosting a physical room versus hosting a digital room. What's different? What's similar?
I would say the most important difference for me, I just speak for myself, is that I'm so much closer with my team doing an online avatar-based game. So as an online game master, you're so much more part of this team that comes to your experience. And of course, we are doing as much as possible for the team as well when they come to visit us physically. But still, you are more outside the box. The team is most of the time in the room. And even if for us at 66 minutes, we come up from time to time as some actors and step into the real life action. And I don't know, kind of confuse the people or destroy something they're doing. Yeah, but it's pretty much more, out of the box. That's what I experienced a lot.
And also there's a big difference in getting clues to the team, because as an avatar you have it easy. You can just look where you want the people to look, and then they have to look there and see what you want them to see. As a game master in life, you can't do this, and I think the hardest thing as a game master in life is to get clues to the team without letting them know that they need a clue.
I think an important similarity between running a live game and running an online game is that you really are responsible for the player's experience from start to finish. And it's really in the manner in which you interact with the players that creates that difference, I think, between how you approach doing a live in-person game versus doing it as an online avatar game. I really love the examples that Sarah and Saskia gave that talked about how you can better guide the players to be able to focus on what they need to focus on so that they do have a really great experience. And then also how you interact with the players. You're able to say things or do things that could really affect the way that they're thinking about the puzzles, as well as hopefully to share a couple of laughs along the way, because maybe you'd be able to do some things while on camera that you typically wouldn't have had the opportunity to step in and do otherwise.
What I'm hearing there are a couple of tricks that you all employ, and we've seen many companies employ these over the past year and a half. One is the strategic camera pan, where you just casually look past a thing that is important. And if they don't get it, you casually look past it again. And eventually they get it, and they feel like they did it all by themselves, even though you were basically screaming at them, this thing is important.
So with camera pans, it is important not to feel like you're spoon feeding the information to the players either, because players are pretty savvy when they are experiencing this through a screen. So kind of a quality of life thing to do, since there is truly only one perspective, is to take the opportunity to survey the space that you're in fairly frequently. And in the surveying of that space, looking around and whatnot, you can choose to focus in or stall on certain areas longer than others, but making this aspect of needing to look around can be an important way to not only have people continue to feel like that they're in the space, but also potentially mask some of those opportunities to distinctly point something out, so that it's not so obvious as a clue, nudge, or hint in that regard visually.
Anyone else have any thoughts on the camera pan?
I think what another effect of this camera focusing is that you make sure that the whole team spots the same thing that you want them to see. I would say in most escape rooms that are just physically all the teams, they spread into all directions, and you have no idea who is looking for what, or at least you have to figure out. And it's pretty hard sometimes to get the team focus on the right things. So also that they all really get the experience and the hints and the information that is needed, because in a room, I mean, it's like a herd of sheep, and we are not shepherd's dogs, obviously, but we try our best.
See, you raise an interesting point about having the full control of the player's perspective through the entire digital experience, versus in the physical experience, the players can scatter, and it is a little bit like herding cats. How do you address that when you're game mastering a physical room? How do you control people's perspective?
To speak for our rooms, we have a lot of lighting that really gets the spot on the things that are important at the moment. So people are like a bit like flies. They go to the light because that's where they think they can see something. And so it's part of creating a game and an experience. And you can do this with many things like lighting or some music or sounds. And you have a lot of possibilities to get the focus to certain spots at a certain point of time.
For us in our games, the way that we incorporate trying to draw attention to a focal point is through strong cueing inside the room. Perhaps there are related symbols or patterns that would immediately make folks say these two items are related, and that usually is enough of a discovery to get the group flocking together. Of course, inside a physical escape room, the opportunity for folks to be able to divide and conquer and work on different things simultaneously can be a very magical thing, as long as there are specific points in the actual game design where everyone unifies philosophize together, where the different individual tracks converge to a point and then maybe diverge again, but there need to be salient convergence points built into the puzzles, whether it be through the set design or through the content of the puzzles, or even potentially in any clues that may be given sort of intermittently throughout to be able to direct people's attention. But ultimately, when playing in an in-person game, it's the players themselves that allow themselves to be taken away by the puzzles or by the set and environment that draws their attention in a natural way. We don't incorporate specific cueing from a set perspective otherwise, though it definitely is an approach for it that can be a really great way to get people to be able to flock together.
In a physical room, the space and the things you do in it is the fun. In a digital room, the game master, the host, the avatar, has to be the conduit for all of the fun. The activities have to be fun to either watch, or the dialogue you're having with the avatar has to be engaging and fun in order for it to have any entertainment value. And as I said earlier, this is really why I'm so excited to interview all of you, because you do this so well and you do it in such different ways. What has been the most challenging thing for you to learn how to do to create fun for players through a digital medium?
I think it was to get to know the team in a short time, to know which players do I have, and are they colleagues, are they friends, where are they from, what do they like, and what kind of humor they have. Because the greatest thing is to make the team laugh through the game. And if you don't get to know their humor in the first few seconds, you won't get to know it in the 50 minutes after that. So I think it was very challenging to get to know the team in the digital way. In real life, I can see them. I get in the first look, I can get to know a little bit of them. But in the digital way, it's much harder, I think.
Yeah. So in our case, in Showdown, it's our one game master, which is Agent Mortar, who gets to know the team in advance. But in fact, he or she is not the avatar. So the real avatar gets to know the team at a very, very late point in time. So it's a total black box you're playing with, and you have to be very kind of careful and listen carefully what kind of group you have. Are they in a good mood? Do they want to enjoy the game? Do they want to have fun? Are they open for jokes? Perhaps they are open for bad jokes. I had some of the most fun with a team, just guys, and they were so funny. They let me do the funniest things on earth, and I just thought, well, let's do it.
I think it is that uniqueness of the team interaction that truly was a challenge, but a welcome challenge, because that is where the fun is for the players. And honestly, that's where the fun is for the avatar too. Like, what kind of group am I going to have now? What kind of things are they going to throw at me or to ask me to do, or comments that they'll share? Because we have to be on our toes as well and ready to respond in character, in kind, in a way that's entertaining and positive for the room. So being able to get that feel for how they play and how they wish to interact with us as the folks behind the camera is the challenge, but that's also where a lot of the fun lies. So being able to improvise, being able to play the game effectively while improvising is where a lot of the magic happens.
How has game mastering as an avatar changed the way that you are approaching game mastering physical rooms?
I think for me it is the interaction. We do have a lot of interaction, in our roles, but I like to enjoy it more because I loved as an avatar that I can spend time with the team. And now if I come into the room as a role, I like to spend more time with them. I did my thing before in a funny way, and now I like to talk to the team and ask them stuff and just be there with them.
You can't get rid of her.
You can't get rid of her.
Just think
yeah, but that's not only with my role, that's like in real life. Yeah, but that's something I did learn from being an avatar, that the team likes it if you spend time with them, and like a lot of time.
Yeah. They really also in the debriefing, they want to have some time, some little chat about which other rooms in this region are good. What do you do before? What's your profession in general? I mean, I guess nobody was born or kind of like learned to be a game master as a profession. So I think the connection to the team, which we get from this avatar stuff, really infects even more how close we want to be now with the people. Perhaps also because of Corona, because we hadn't have some real physical people in a long time, and it was really hard for us. But it's I really think that I want to get to know my teams even better now than it was before.
I think for me, it's from a kind of operational standpoint, it's helped me rewire how I feel like groups could path throughout the escape room experience, and where are people's minds when they encounter different puzzles or states inside of the room. So even outside of the customer interaction component, which I think we really hit on as being a significant evolution in here too, there's also an evolution in how we see groups playing the games. And so there are now more thoughtful ideas about how to convey information, how to be able to provide that hint, or how to be able to even just introducing people into the room and into the experience. I think kind of all around, it's given a greater focus and appreciation about the whole game mastering process, because we've been so in it with the team. We're an extension of the team when we're a live avatar, and when playing in person, we're now suddenly removed from that in very significant ways. But we still have those experiences, have those memories of being that extension of the team. And so what can we do to be able to improve the quality of life and the experience from a customer's perspective when they're able to be with us in person?
You've all run through your games so many times now as the eyes and hands for your players. Has that changed the way you look at and think about some of the interactions that are in your games? Have you looked at a puzzle or an interaction and said, "Man, that lock is terrible. Why would anyone want to use that?" Have you had anything that you've changed as a result from playing your own games over and over again?
Well, I do want to say that typically when you are preparing and building a game, that you're also going through that process in terms of design and testing and everything to go through and walk through that experience along the way. I think in my experience, there were definitely puzzles when I started to do it in the online format did not work well online compared to where they were in person, and vice versa. We made some modifications to how we delivered these games online, and it either didn't translate well back going into in person, or it just wasn't physically possible because of some of the liberties that one can do when doing an online room. So I would say that we've definitely looked at and evaluated some puzzles and go, all right, does this even belong anymore? Because it didn't necessarily feel good in the flow in either the online or the in-person. And I think that that's, I would say, sort of a natural evolution of just seeing the game being played over and over and over again. It just happens more intimately because we're the ones fiddling around with the locks, putting together the actual pieces on camera, and executing it for the teams. So I think the natural iteration and evolution that can happen with an escape room in general just happened in a more accelerated and concentrated fashion because we were the ones playing it over and over and over again.
I can imagine that. In our case, Showdown is really made only and specifically for online. So we have nothing in our game that would be like this for real players, because we're the only ones touching it. But I have to admit that some key logs or whatever logs are just kind of impossible to handle with one hand. But I mean, that's, I guess, a problem that most avatars would have. Also, we have two hands in our version and how we do it. But of course, it gives you a different look on the other existing games and how to improve things that are pretty annoying if you do it like the 12th, 20th, whatever time again and again.
So you've all touched on this a little bit. There are interactions that are inherently more fun through the avatar setting, and there are many interactions that are a lot more fun to physically be the one doing. Which ones do you think kind of fall into those categories as extremes, as things that you either absolutely do online or absolutely avoid, and vice versa?
I would say in person, being able to kind of begin the experience while in the lobby is such an important thing. It's the opportunity, if the game master happens to be the person checking them in, to be able to begin that rapport, deliver a safety demonstration and whatnot, to explain the story and theme of the room. I've definitely been in experiences where the rules or the story is delivered via a video, and you're in the room and you are looking at the screen, but you're already kind of looking around in the room, maybe fiddle around with some blocks, taking inventory and such, because the video just doesn't capture that as well as a physical person delivering that type of context. We've kind of taken to doing that kind of stuff in an online setting to, for example, get them used to their inventory system. But when delivering about the experience, we try to make sure that we do our sound checks live, that we do introductions kind of live, so that the game master gets that feel. Like we were talking about in another question, you only get a very small amount of time to get a feel for the group before launching into the experience. That's where I would say it's much easier to do it in person versus that short amount of time online. But it's just a difference of the medium that is causing that kind of divide there. And then cue the use of video.
Yes, I would say, yeah. I feel that. I strongly feel that I have absolutely been guilty of mentally solving puzzles while a rules video or a story video was playing. I've definitely been that guy before. So, Sarah, Saskia, the 66 Minuten crowd, the whole company, and there's a lot of people involved. It's not just the two of you. You have used video, I think, at a very high level. As I had said earlier, you were blurring the line between pre-recorded and live video. As someone who produces this conference truly appreciates. Can you talk a little bit about how you, as a company, went about integrating video into the experience?
Well, I don't think that we are the specialists for that, but most of the time it's kind of the team is in a meeting, and in this case we were like, well, we think Corona will last longer, so we should think about doing an avatar game. But if we do it, we want to create an immersive event that kind of plays with reality. And so the idea came up to kind of make people believe that they are in a really huge conference. And as you said before, it's not really possible to pay for so much actors. So obviously the solution was to pre-record a lot of things and make the players believe it's live. And we have pretty clever guys in the background
and girls
yes, who spend hours, weeks, months just thinking about how it could be possible to make the players just believe it, and that they do not really know what is live and what is pre-recorded. And I think Saskia and we have to say that the guys and girls, they did a pretty good job. I mean, we didn't think it was possible, but they made it work somehow, and it's just great.
Yes, and I think we have played some avatar games before, and we saw that they are using videos, and we were like, yeah, that's cool, but if we do that, we want to make it with a boom. And that was something we had in our mind when we started this video thing, and when we shooted the videos, it was always like, it has to be a little bit crazy. Like, it has to be a little bit unreal, so people have in mind that it can't be real, but they don't see it. That was something we wanted to do and wanted to create.
You absolutely achieved that. Oh, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I had an absolute blast being able to experience Showdown with you and the team. I mean, as you mentioned, Saskia, like, it's that suspension of disbelief, being like, hold on, is this a video? Is this not a video? Oh, this is the video part. Wait, there's no way that it could be real, that kind of stuff. But is it real? It was integrated so seamlessly and in a variety of ways that was more than just something that happened at the beginning or something that happened at the end. Just the way that it was integrated and involved all throughout. I definitely will not share any spoilers. Folks have to definitely try it out for yourselves. But I think because of the way that they approached it, a variety of ways that are so clever, really made it for, in all honesty, kind of a really neat magic trick for video conferences. It's the, oh, wow, did that actually just happen? And then part of your mind is taken up with this idea of, all right, well, how did they do that? But we're still in the game, so we have to solve the puzzle and whatnot, but it's still lingering in your mind about how really neat that application of technology just elevates the experience.
Mm-hmm. We made it
the way that you went about...
Sorry.
No, you go for it.
Wanted to mention that of course, because of this pre-recorded stuff, we now have some problems, because we can't just say, well, okay, this flower may stand also there, because then someone says, well, no, it's in the video. This plant has to stay there forever and ever. And so we have to be pretty careful also with tidying up the room and set it up again, because there is no possibility that something stands somewhere else. We can't do this.
That's interesting. And the way that you're triggering video, I assume as a player, although I don't know for a fact, the dynamic of shifting between live and recorded is also dependent upon the way that you as a duo and the other duos of Game Master avatars that you have, you're triggering this for each other. It only works because there are two of you running this game. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was how it felt. And the timing was just so dead on every time. I was looking for the seams. It reached a point where I was like, I was so excited and also slightly confused by the level of precision that I was starting to try and be like, okay, well, where can I find the screw up? And I never did, which was really cool.
Yeah, in our case, it's really the behind the scenes job, which is, I would say, more challenging because you have to find the perfect timing. You have to listen up and be close to the avatar and look for some hidden hints to start the videos really at the right point in the game, so that this illusion can happen.
And also, as the behind-the-scene person, you like to bring impact to the game also. You have a role and you want the team to get to know this role, but you have a much shorter time than the avatar. You have these few scenes where you can say something, and we try to make an impact even as this person and to be as funny as we can. And that is something you have to do also while looking, when do you have to start the video, when do you have to do this, when is this, and this is like very crazy.
Escape rooms have always been building on each other. People are building off of the work that they see other people do, taking inspiration, figuring out how to improve upon these ideas. And the rate of change has happened very quickly in physical escape rooms, but it happened even faster in avatar games, partially because you didn't have to travel to go and play the best of the best. You could play all of them on a Saturday fairly affordably. So everybody learned from each other very, very, very quickly. It was remarkable. I'm curious to hear, what were some of the games, who were some of the creators that inspired you, that helped you learn how to do this at a higher level, and that you want to take a moment to celebrate?
Okay, for me, this one is so easy. We played Miss Jezebel as one of the first, and it was so amazing. And it wasn't about the puzzles, it was just the interaction with both of them. And it was so funny, and you were like 60 minutes, you were in this show. It was more a show like an escape room, but we did that, and we was like, there we got the idea that we want to have two people in it. So you have interaction with another one who is in front of the camera, because that was something what was so great, to see someone act with you in front of the camera.
I can't say something different, because for me also Miss Jezebel was more like funny theater stuff, and from this point I was kind of saying, well, this is something that I can imagine to do as well, because just like this is what we at 66 minutes can do, because acting and this theater stuff is just like our profession. And so we thought, well, that might be our way to do this and enjoy it and let people enjoy it as well.
For me, it's kind of funny. I think a lot of us in the industry might be able to relate that once you start really getting into doing it and running it, you don't get as much of an opportunity to try out and sample all the really great content that's out there. So for me, my answers are going to be, again, skewed towards some of the earlier frontrunners that were out there, but I know that there are so many awesome creators that are out there that are honestly on this long list of folks that I want to be able to try out. But I do want to say that I had a ton of fun playing Miss Jezebel. I think that's been a very popular one and just really really appreciating how they embrace that improvisational nature, that reactive nature, so that you're truly delivering a unique show each time. I also experienced the same when playing The Truth About Edith, which had a really clever way of integrating collaborative technology, but those specific elements of actor to player interaction were among the kinds of things that I thought about when developing these characters for each of the different games. And then to an extent as well, Project Avatar. That one, although there wasn't necessarily that improvisational vocal nature between the groups, there definitely was. I mean, I don't have a warehouse to do parkour in, nor would I be able to safely do so. But the fact that the direction and the movements and the actions were all about what the players were sharing and how the character can react depending on the danger level and other things, just really emphasized how important it is for an avatar to create an experience that's unique for the group.
I completely agree with all of you. And there were so many people who we could be interviewing, whether it was Mayor Rob or Seth Wolfson from Hourglass, or the folks who made The Beast and Exorcist. There are people all over the world who are doing and have been doing just brilliant things in this space. And everyone here has built off of that work, and we do really want to appreciate all of them because we couldn't interview everybody. So thank you all for joining. This has been so delightful, and we're going to take some questions now.